Hi, welcome to another episode of MYD Global. I'm your host, Leanne Hackman-Carty. In today's episode, I speak with Jacqui Semple. She's a chair of the Professional Association of Emergency Management in the UK. I'm talking to Jacqui a little about her background, but in particular how COVID has impacted the role of an emergency manager and the resources that are available through her society and some of the challenges they're facing. So stay tuned as I talk to Jacqui. Hi, Jacqui. How are you today?
I'm good and really looking forward to speaking to you. So thank you for the invite.
Well, tell us, before we get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Oh gosh, where do I start? I keep thinking I'm really young and I'm not. I used to be one of the young bucks in this profession. Anyway, so my background is actually working in social services. I started many moons ago working with care for older people and then progressed to doing very much social work and care management out in the community and making sure people's needs were met. Then I just had a complete change of direction, still really all involved in around people, but went to work for the Red Cross for 3 years, left social work, went to work for Red Cross for 3 years. And that's really where I got into responding to emergencies and working with other organisations. A job came up with local government. I went for it and here I am. So 2 degrees and masters later, I'm in the job I'm doing, which is Head of Risk, Resilience and Health and Safety within local government.
That's great. And you also chair the Professional Association of Emergency Planning, right?
I do. So I'm honoured to be the chair, elected to the chair of the Emergency Planning Society, which is the leading voice of the profession within the United Kingdom, and promoting all things emergency management and resilience for our members and being the voice of the profession. So delighted to be the chair and I guess a figurehead for all of those things.
So I guess over your career, especially in the emergency management field, have you seen a number of changes, and what do you think has changed over the past few years in the area?
Oh gosh, yeah, lots of changes. I think the biggest one for me, and I was saying earlier about, coming into this fairly young in my 30s, but now I guess one of the biggest things that I've seen changing is the qualifications through both the academic route and the professional development route. So I guess students and younger people coming into this as a profession, which when I came in, it was not deemed as that. It was almost a second career, if you like, and lots of retired, dare I say, retired army generals, police, coming in to do it as a second profession. So I guess the big thing for me is about the qualifications, also the gender balance. We're very, very few women working within the profession at that time. And now there are much more women. So that gender balance is much better. And I guess the emergence of more community resilience and sustainable communities and businesses, taking much more of an interest in things that might impact them and how can they help. So there's probably been lots of changes, but they're the main ones maybe.
Well, so in your role with the municipal government, what are the types of issues that you're working on a daily basis?
Well, we're still dealing with COVID and all things to do with COVID, and really the rollout of the vaccination programme and community testing, and really looking at the R word, I guess, the recovery, the reimagine, the renew. What does that look like? There's been so much impact to all of us right across the world, not just in my area. And it's looking at what are the demands likely to be on all of our organisations, but certainly within local government, looking at, I guess, what was there previously, those inequalities, the hardship, the poverty, the different harms that people we're being exposed to are much more to the fore than they were previously. And I think COVID has highlighted more inequality and more hardship, and also different level of hardship hitting different people who might have lost their jobs, or have not been working, or going back into work and have not had the same income. So a number of different issues, excuse me there, a number of different issues right across the board, but also looking at the other risks. And part of what I do as the chair role is also this. So what are the other things that we've got to think about? How prepared are we to respond to the lots of different elements of disasters, whether that's the big wicked problems around global and climatic change, which we know is a huge, huge issue for us. So whether it's the next health issue that we need to think about coming ahead of the winter weather, but also, I guess, the world is a very interconnected and interdependent place, and it's complex. And I think we shouldn't underestimate all of that. So I guess that was a really long-winded answer to what am I working on a day-to-day basis is all of that.
Well, and I think COVID has, for those in the emergency management field, I think COVID has made everyone a little more aware of the work that you do on a daily basis. You know, you talk, we should be more prepared, we should be more resilient, but when it actually impacts people personally, they start to hear those messages a little more. That's what I find. How do you think overall COVID has changed even the work, how you do your work?
I, I don't know if it's so much how we do our work, because I think I don't think, I know the big challenge for all of us working within emergency management, whatever sector you're in, has always been the profile. I think so. If anything, COVID has absolutely profiled the role of emergency management and the role of the people who are qualified and experts to do that job, and the advice and guidance that they bring alongside that. So I guess the profile has changed. I think for me and for all of the people who are members within the Emergency Planning Society, there's almost a recognition, and it shouldn't have taken something like COVID or any other emergency to highlight the fact that these roles are absolutely fundamental. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Hugh Deeming. Dr. Hugh Deeming has done a lot of work with Lord Kerslake on the Manchester Arena attack. And as part of that work, he talked about sweeps. And sweeps are suitably qualified, experienced, empowered personnel. And we've adopted that because actually we believe that that is fundamental to how we need to think about emergency management and the people part of it, which is about their competence, their learning, their qualifications, and their continuous professional development, and how match fit people need to be. So I guess in the round, yes, COVID has profiled us in a different way. I think we were always here doing our job, but I think now there's more recognition of the importance and the criticality of those roles, and people being in those qualifications and making sure that those roles are carried out to the best effect.
Yeah, and I guess more resources probably, communities are allocating to the area now because they realize, you have to invest in this area because you're going to save on the other side.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else perhaps I didn't ask about that you wanted to mention?
No, I think, this is always a really difficult one when we're trying to do a very quick snapshot in 10 minutes. I think some of the biggest challenges and opportunities that we have now, not just within the UK, but globally, are that we have never been in a more pivotal position to highlight the profession, emergency management. So within the UK, we've got two big things happening. We've got COP26 in November, which all the world leaders are coming to talk about global and climatic change. But also within the UK, we have a call for evidence at this point in time. to look at a new resilience strategy and recognising that actually probably what we have, some of which around our legislation perhaps is not fit for purpose, and we really need to look at that. And you touched on, Leanne, about investment and resource and making sure that we're actually able to do that. So I think my final comments to you would be, I'm proud of every single member of our profession who has worked tirelessly through COVID. And I think now is the time for a professional association like the Emergency Planning Society to stand up and be heard, because we can't have the same issues time and time again. Everything we do is about people who deliver the job and the services that we're doing out to people within our communities. And without people, we don't have anything. And we need to remember they're our most important asset.
And that's a great way to wrap up. Well, Jacqui, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. And I wish you and your colleagues all the best as you continue to make your part of the world a little more resilient and prepared.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.